Hey, Fat Family. Welcome back to another podcast. Woo! Got the applause.
What do we got here again?
Oh, your favorite therapist. You know, Sessions with Sha. One-on-one.
Okay. She got her own segment now.
Yes, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And today's topic, as you have seen on the title, is how does social media impact our mental health? All right.
And for those who are new to the channel, our last video, we had a conversation with Sha about when you should seek a therapist. So if you stay tuned to this video, we'll link it at the end. Very, very good conversation.
Absolutely. Very important to know when to seek help.
Definitely. Lots of tips and tricks, and welcome. Come on in. That's what we want you to do, to feel comfortable. And it's definitely the best
relax.
help of your life. Just relax.
We're
It's
just
a good
chilling.
time. Exactly.
Yes. Love it.
So what's up?
All right. So
how do we... I have always thought that social media is really messing up with our mental health because as we were talking about in a previous podcast, you can tend to like compare yourself and feel like you're behind on things because so-and-so is doing this and you're like, oh my God, but I'm not there yet. And you kind of feel like this rush to get things done. Like what have you seen with people in terms of social media?
in terms of people and even myself, right? What I tend to look at is I have an iPhone, right? And the iPhone shows you how many hours or minutes based on productivity, social media, and a series of different, wink,
Can I
wink,
help
tap,
you?
tap. It shows you where you're spending the most time because like I said in our previous session, right, the mind is a muscle and we have to train it to do certain things, right? And if you don't use it, you lose it, like I tell everybody. And with this being said, like subconsciously, what are you feeding yourself, right? People don't even realize, oh, but I'm not even on that long. So you take a look at that phone and it says you were on 6 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, we already spent 8 at work and you were 6 on it. What are you really doing? And it does impact your mood. And so what I was seeing during session is that a lot of my clients who ended up committing into a psychiatric facility, which honestly sounds scary, but it's not, for people who deal with more serious mental illnesses, that is the ideal thing to do. So I had a client who was spending more time on her cell phone, and she just reached a point where she reached out and was like, what do I do? I'm feeling symptomatic and it's not getting better. And at this point, I was like, all right, so being honest, the choices are it's either going to be something you're going to do to yourself to hurt yourself, which we don't want, or you go with your cell phone and you check into the nearest facility for mental health services. And honestly, everyone who does check in afterward calls me afterward and it's like, wow, it was like a little spa vacation. And the common denominator is that at these facilities, they take away your cell phone, but they're not blocking you from the world. They ask you, whose number do you need from here? And they reach out to you and, they're like, do you need to contact your parents? Who's your best friend? Who's this? And you give the numbers. And now let's say if I'm reaching out to someone who's a loved one at a facility, I can still reach them just at the facility's phone.
We're back to like a landline.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you're not seeing anything on social media, that you're not feeding that negativity into your subconscious, and you're still able to communicate with loved ones because a major part of therapy is your support system. And a lot of people have this misconception that, oh, just my family is my support system. No, it's whoever you feel the best around. It could be anybody, your best friend, somebody who lives in another country, someone who is in your family, someone you met 2 years ago. Who is your support system?
I think that's very important when it comes to feeling better, when it comes to mental health. Because I personally, I get a lot of anxiety and I feel like what makes me feel better is my family. Like when I'm isolated and by myself and just in my thoughts and in my head, that just makes things worse.
Right.
And even though that's the thing that I want to do, just not talk to anybody, I've realized that that's what I should not do.
Right.
And the minute that I feel like I have support from people and I'm feeling overwhelmed and I have a husband who's very supportive.
Yes.
And, let's say I'm feeling overwhelmed with like house chores. But he sees that I'm feeling overwhelmed and he helps me. That makes me feel, supported, and it makes me feel like, okay, people care for me. I'm loved.
I have these people here for me.
It's very important to have that. I can't imagine feeling alone and not having anybody to like feel loved or feel like I can go to them if I'm feeling down. I think a support system is very important when it comes to mental health.
And then what a common theme that I stress as well is I'm mindful of not everyone has that same beautiful family dynamic that I have, right? Or that you have. And it's important because usually people, again, this is the difference between venting to your friends and venting to a person who's not biased and doesn't know you, right? People just, oh, go to your family. What if that person has a traumatic experience because of their family? Then I'm not going to send you to your, that's not your support system simply because that's family, right? No, maybe it's your best friend who lives in another country. Maybe it's a professor at college. You never know. Support system is just whoever is a positive influence on you, whoever's got your back and is going to help pull you out of that dark mental space that we go to when we start spiraling.
So what do we say to people who feel like they don't have a support system? That's when they should be seeking therapy, right?
Absolutely, because then the therapist becomes your support system and you can reach out via, obviously it won't be our direct line, but it'll be maybe a work number or through homework assignments that we're giving you to take home and channel your feelings, whether it's through journaling, through using artistic things, a variety of different assignments that we could give you to do at home. And depending on how severe the case is with one of my clients, let's say for one who's more chill, let's say maybe I'd see her or him once a week. But if I know that this person is really unstable and doesn't have a support system, then maybe I'd be having sessions with this person twice a week or 3 times a week, depending on the severity of what the presenting symptoms are.
And one thing that I had said before on my Instagram is like be mindful of what pages you follow, because at the end of the day, the algorithm shows you get sucked in when you see bad stuff or adrenaline. It spikes something in your brain and you just like want to keep swiping. So Instagram is going to continue to feed it to you.
Definitely.
So what I've done a lot of times,
algorithm is evil sometimes.
It is.
What I've done is like I just unfollow.
Right.
Like if I want to see something, like I'll follow you back. Even when it's like motivational quotes, I feel like, okay, you're stressing me because you're giving me too much motivation. It's just like every post, like, yeah,
so
do better.
Funny.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, is it enough? Like
too much of everything is bad, right?
Right. Everything in moderation. But you see, that's something you're very mindful of. For you, the too much motivation is overkill. It's like, next, I can't do that. Versus for somebody, let's say, who is in a rough spot, maybe they do need that. Right. But that's dope that you are mindful. And I think the more mindful you are of what your triggers are, what you need for people to pour into you so that you can feel full, right? That's super important. And as a therapist myself, what I noticed was you have to set boundaries. They're so important because people will take, and then you're wondering, damn, why do I feel drained? Why am I so tired? I didn't even do much. But really, it's because you split yourself this week between the needs of 15 other people before you put yourself first. No, let me take care of what I have to do first.
Excellent point.
So that I feel whole, pouring into my own cup and filling myself before I'm able to pour from my cup into others.
And what do you feel like people that have, let's say, old friendships that just don't align with what they're trying to go in life, but they kind of don't want to lose a friendship or feel bad? Like, how does a person
how do
like
you disconnect? I understand what you're saying. So sometimes you might have friends who don't really align with where you want to be in life, or maybe they might be that friend who drains you. But they're a longtime friend, and it's like you feel guilty, like kind of
like, separating from I want to help you, but I don't really want to do what you want to do. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. And that's understandable. And like we discussed last session, right? It only works if you do the work. So you could, because you have such great hearts and because you want to help people, but did they ask you for help? Are they showing you signs that they are ready to do the work, right? Because the beauty of this is that mentally, we all make that change and that decision to want to progress at different times. And then there's some of us who never get there. Yeah. And what happens is for those of us who do, we become frustrated with them. Like, damn, but why you don't want more? You don't want to. Yeah, but then that's just frustrating you. So it's like, I wouldn't sever the tie completely, but it's just like, if you need me, I'm here for you, whether that's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because we go way back. But I'm not going out of my way to seek you because there isn't anything there right now that's going to help me get to where I'm going, what my goals are next.
Or where I want you to be headed.
Right. That's how I feel. I feel like you don't have to cut them completely, because there's people that they don't completely align with you, or they're not there with you at the same time, but you still have love for them.
Most definitely.
So I feel like it's important to just know how to keep that space, how to give yourself that space, but not say, oh, forget you, I'm not talking to you ever again. It doesn't have to be that drastic.
And also be mindful of, there's friends like are needy. Like if I'm not texting you every day, like, okay, this relationship is over. Like, no,
Yeah.
sorry, bro, we got a life.
Yeah.
So, like,
Especially as adults.
I value friendships that I can not talk to you for 3 months, and I hit you up, and it's just like, what's up?
Right.
Yeah, and
Because-
nothing. Yeah, like time
Like,
hasn't
we all
passed
have a
by.
life.
Exactly. And what we noticed in sessions, right, the people who are doing that, if I'm constantly blowing up your phone every single day, and it's not even on, like, it's different if I hit your line every day and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Just a simplistic text, right? Versus if I'm hitting you up every day and it's asking you for something, right? Then I'm noticing that's codependency. That's showing that person doesn't know how to function on their own without seeking validation from you. Right? Versus, like you said, if I reach out and you guys, let's say we don't pick up the phone after this until three months from now, and then we have our next session, y'all, right? And that's called, I'm holding space for you guys,
Yeah.
right? I have this place in my heart for you guys, and it doesn't mean that we're not friends because we haven't heard from each other in a little while. And once we link back up, everything's all good again.
I mean, we haven't linked in how long? When was the
Right?
last
A
time we saw
long
each other?
time.
So long.
A long
Years. It's
time.
been years.
Yeah, definitely.
Before the pandemic, I think.
And
Was
you
the
walked
last
in
time
and
we
we
saw
just
each
started-
And we just walked in and
started
picked
chatting.
the conversation back up like we back like we never left. y'all.
Yes. That's amazing. So what are some things that we could be doing to avoid social media from messing up with our mental health?
Okay, so get engaged. Like I said, I'm an actively engaged therapist in session, right? I'm fully present. Get fully present in a hobby, whether that's the gym, whether that's a cooking class, whether that's yoga, whether it's time at home with your partner watching a movie together or playing cards. I have cards in the house that's for like intimacy games or just in general to facilitate conversations that are not forced, that are not scripted, right? And it just challenges you because these are not your deck of questions. They're coming from somebody else.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna. We have cards.
Oh, snap.
We have cards here.
Let me see what we got. I love surprises.
So we actually have bought this.
You see, that's how y'all know we friends, y'all.
So who was it? What's her name?
Dana Chanel.
Dana Chanel have released this a while back, and we bought it. And it's, I don't know if you can see it, but it's for husband and wives, 88 conversation starters. So we felt like we wasn't talking a lot, and we saw this. I think I ordered it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And it literally just asks different questions, and
Yeah.
you just start topics.
Talking, yeah.
This one is, how would you describe your spiritual life right now? And I will ask her the question, and we'll be in the kitchen just talking.
Yeah, and it just
I love
sparks
this.
conversation.
Right. So this would be a homework topic that we might, as a therapist, send our clients home with. And that's beautiful that as a couple, you said, you know what, what's an area that we need to build upon? And okay, if conversation starters is one of them, then let's get into it.
I love it.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, we haven't.
y'all
we haven't.
y'all have
But we-
homework.
But
Y'all
now-
have homework.
No, but now we actually talk. We talk.
Yeah.
We talk a lot.
Now we're very engaged on so many levels with different things. So that's why we haven't touched it. 'Cause-
Well, then that's awesome. As long as the conversation's flowing, we're good. And if it gets paused, then we need some help. We already
It's,
know
it's
we
on
got
top,
you
it's
guys.
on top of the nevera.
We're gonna go get that.
And this is, again, the reason why we started this podcast, because we felt like we were always talking to each other and have good, deep conversations.
Yeah.
It was like, why wouldn't we just record it?
That could
And
help
that
somebody
could
else out
other
there.
people.
Definitely share that with the world, and hopefully somebody else listens in and they feel comfortable and seek therapy as well. Like, and get to that point in time where it just helps not only whatever it is that you're going into, right? Like, so if I'm going into therapy for, let's say, couples counseling, just by improving that part of my life, I'm able to socialize on a multitude of different levels with my employer, personal people in my family life, right? It's not just for that one area that you're initially coming in for, seeking services for. So it's dope.
yeah, it trickles down.
Definitely.
When you're feeling good with yourself, life just gets better overall.
Right.
And how do you feel parents should handle their kids
With
getting on
social media. Yeah.
With all
That's-
like, I mean, we're creators in every single platform, and so like I know YouTube has restrictions now when you're uploading. It asks you like, is this meant for kids? Should I restrict this content for kids above 18? Which is good. And they also have their platform for YouTube Kids, which kids should be watching. So how do you feel like parents, should they be on top of their phone? Should they not have phone? At what age should you get a phone? How should, what do you
There's just
feel
so
like
many
since
questions, but
That's me personally. Personally, I'm old school, right? Y'all see me young, but I'm just 33, y'all, right? So, but I'm old school in the sense that I don't believe you should have a phone at this age.
What age?
And at elementary school age, up until 5th grade, even middle school, I get it. And the common excuse that I hear from parents, and again, I keep it real with the parents who I even engage with, right?
I want to see where my kid is at.
Here's the, I give him a phone or her a phone because I need to call them. Baby, we got the main office line. It's a landline. Once you call
we
us,
didn't have cell phones.
right. They'll give you excuses. Oh, ever since this situation or that. No. You can call the school. They'll transfer the call up, and we'll have the kids sent down to you.
And I always say that phones have parental control.
Definitely.
Like, you turn it on, you put a code that your kid doesn't know, and they have access to whatever you give them.
Mm-hmm. Most parents don't do that. I don't think so.
I know they don't.
They're not checking for it, right? The same way, then you're wondering why the grades are flunking, why they're experiencing different behavioral things that, nobody else in the family ever did that. Yeah, because we didn't have phones till we were like 17, 18, right? And that we were paying for our own phones. Like, you're adding an additional bill to yourself so that your child can have this, and they're just wasting time not doing homework or things that they actually need to get done academically to be on all this unnecessary social media.
And it goes down to, again, what we talked about. Who are they following? What are they looking at all day?
And what's seeping into their developing brains.
Definitely.
I feel like that's very scary.
Posts.
I hope it's the motivational post too.
I think that's the scary part for me. That's why, like, Armani, obviously, like, technology is everywhere. So it's not like I can control him from watching anything ever. But I just refuse to give my 8-year-old a phone. Like,
and no. I give you an applause for that.
Because it's scary. I mean, us as adults, we have trouble.
Right. Monitoring how long we're on it.
And we're adults.
Right. You were on it and we're like, just 10 more minutes and I'm going to go to bed. Next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, it's about to be midnight and I'm still up.
So imagine a kid who doesn't have life experiences, who they're just developing. When we were younger, the experiences we had, the interactions with the kids, the playing time, the going outside and the going to visit my friend over there, those are important things we have to go through.
Those are the skills. And if you notice, like, not even just from, again, I have the perspective within the school, but even once I take myself outside of school and I just observe anybody whose children I'm around, you notice in this day and age, they struggle to communicate. They'll be standing right next to a kid, and something I was seeing was they'll throw a ball at that kid and beam them, then that kid's crying or it's a fight. And then when I put them to the side, let's talk. Oh, I was just trying to play with him, because they're lacking social skills, because they're all day with a screen in their face. Yeah. And now we understand why. So that's why I say I'm old school with it, and I don't think they should have it unless, an hour for entertainment here and then take it away after that, or only on the weekends. I'm strict on that as well with the students who I interact with and their parents. No, take off that plug, that Xbox, that PlayStation. We don't need that unless it's the weekend.
And another thing was, what was the other thing I was thinking about?
So many juicy questions.
Damn. How you do that to me?
That sucks. Warped his mind.
That was a good one,
That's
too.
the mental health things.
That was a good one, too. All right, we'll keep going.
Right. So just like adults, if we have trouble, just keep in mind, this is what I think us as parents need to have in mind. If we have trouble with controlling ourselves on social media, which we should work on, we shouldn't just stay that way. I think is important that we understand that it's very important for us to try to keep the screen time to a minimum. And that when they are on the screen, that we're monitoring what they're watching, because...
I remember my question. Not my question. Awesome. One thing we did a lot even when Armani and now, and we tried to continue to do, is when we're going out as a family to eat, we don't take the iPads.
Right.
Like,
they want to take them, but we're like, no, we're going to be outside. It's time for you to socialize.
If we're going to sit down to talk,
people.
like, they bring you crayons, you can draw. You don't need to be... Because a lot of parents and I understand it's stressful, like when your kid is crying and you're in a restaurant and they just want a screen and you just like, I need to
just want them to be quiet. Yeah.
But have we done it? Probably. But maybe the majority of the time, no, we're out as a family. We're going to go eat. So when you're home, you can watch TV.
Definitely. So. And because I want to challenge that, because this is something we do in counseling, right? You said as a parent, sometimes the children will scream and you just, I'll give you my phone. That becomes a backfire because that becomes a learned behavior, right? So it's like, if I scream at the top of my lungs and I throw a tantrum, which is embarrassing, right? We all know that doesn't reflect you as a parent, right? These are just children learning, right? This is a learning experience at this moment. It backfires on us as parents because when that child is screaming and mom, dad, whoever, grandma gives me this phone or the tablet, now I have just learned in my mind to get what I want. This is the behavior I'm going to exhibit. So then take that from the home or the restaurant. Now I'm doing this in school. Now you will be getting phone calls from the teachers, from therapists. All right, these are the behaviors we're seeing. And that continues through life until you learn to nip that in the butt. Like, no, I'm going to wait this one out. You're going to scream and I'm going to go over here. And eventually you'll catch the hint. And it's all about patience, ultimately.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. I need to work on patience, but I understand that it is about patience. Like you have to just take a deep breath and think very closely about what you're about to do because, you know, they can take you out of character really quickly.
Most definitely.
I'll bring a funny story. One day, Babe sends me a TikTok. The lady, I guess she's like a therapist. She was like, try to whisper to your kids instead of screaming. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Okay, they'll pay attention more if you just whisper to them and don't scream.
And I think she screamed for something. I was like, just whisper. Whisper.
I forgot, but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes they
This is
take
a
you out of
behavior.
Try it.
character.
Did it work?
No.
Not the whisper. But I mean,
it actually became funny. You know what they did? They started whispering back at us.
Right, instead of yelling. No, but then again, so it's a learned behavior. Maybe if y'all did that 3 or 4 more times, because like I say with therapy, not off the first try does it work, but that is funny. They're like, all right, maybe to get what I want, I got to start this funny whisper game.
But I think the point the lady was trying to make is just you have to be patient.
Most
you know?
definitely.
Relax, find
Screaming
composure
isn't
before.
going to fix anything. And it's the truth. It's the truth. Sometimes we just scream out of frustration, but is that really going to fix anything?
And it kind of tunes people out, right?
Yeah.
If even as adults, if someone's screaming at us, we're immediately turning off. Like,
It's like your boss,
I'm
like,
not listening to this right now.
Oi,
Right.
you better not.
Better not. Go to HR real quick.
You got any other questions?
All right.
Or you want to wrap
so
this
let's
up?
wrap it up. So just to wrap up the ideas. So one of the things that we should be doing so that social media, it doesn't affect our mental health is being
mindful,
present right?
and mindful of where your energy and your attention and your time is going.
Yeah, so make sure you're not constantly on these news and the negativity and right
And all of this counts. If I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I just spent an hour on each of these. Find actual activities that you enjoy because these are things that pour into you and make you feel fulfilled and ready to take on a screaming child, a husband or a wife who's had a bad day, anything at this point because like I said, it's all about pouring into yourself first so that you are able to then pour into others and help anyone else in your life.
And
I
before
believe that.
I've heard too, but before we close this out, that try not to consume as like 30 minutes prior to going to bed. Like try not to look at your phone because you're going to go to sleep and your brain is going to be all over the
It's still
place.
active, right?
And this goes for older folks too, not just us in our 30s and our 20s. Because I see the older folks now just as much on this phone,
Oh, definitely.
watching the news all day long.
It's true. Limit the news, right? Because that just pumps fear, paranoia, anxiety into you. And as the older generation, right? We wanna
Mommy,
limit that
are you watching this?
Abuela, turn off that Univision.
Un saludo para Aníbal y Marisela Vázquez.
Oh,
No, but it's true. It's true. Even for the older folks, like we need to, like, come on, bring the positivity. Like I hate to hear the older folks too talking so negatively, especially
Right.
to like the young generation that's coming up, because I hear a lot. You know, like I'm sorry, I know we're supposed to be
good.
wrapping it up. But this is an important point. There's a lot of the generation that's growing up now with parents who we just went through a pandemic. It's very traumatizing. And there's a lot of parents with a lot of fear. And there's a lot of like young kids, you know, who feel hopeless or, you know, are feeling depressed with such a young age. And I feel like all this negativity that's been going on lately contributes to that.
Most definitely.
And especially to have a parent at home who's constantly just watching the news and just pointing out all the
Contributing to that
negative
negativity.
and, you know, just talking about how bad the world is when there's so much good too. Why are we just putting so much focus on all the bad when
Right.
there's so much good?
We need to focus on that silver lining in the cloud. When it rains, right? What is the silver lining? If I got to eat my favorite meal, I got to speak to my best friend. What was that one good takeaway for you for the day? And that's what you hold on to because at the end of the day, it's about hope. That's what carries us
Absolutely.
into the next day.
Absolutely. And I feel like hope is so important. Never lose hope. Hope is the last thing that we lose.
Agreed.
And the world is a great place, guys. It's just that we have this thing and all the bad news go viral.
Yes, and that thing that we have, use it to link up with like a top therapist like me, right? and
Use it for good.
Get some awesome supports in your life. And like I said, if you don't know them coming to therapy, we will point out what are the strengths and supports that we have identified based on you speaking to us, and you will flourish from there.
And one thing we try to do with our platform, we've always tried to do it, was just post positive stuff. We don't do any drama. And TikTok, we're just dancing our life away. People are loving it.
Yeah.
People say, like, you guys make me smile every day. That means the world to us. Now we're bringing this podcast to you, bringing different people on. This is
how we go, learn from each other, grow, be happy, and just make positive changes for the future.
So let us know if you want these little sessions to come appear here and there. We'll
Yes.
bring Charlene back on.
Let me know. We'll have these elevated conversations and continue from there.
I like that. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have come to the end of the video, you are the real MVP. I want you guys to put down a start down in the comments if you have come all the way to the end. We're going to start giving shout outs to people who do that. So leave your start down below. If you have any comments, leave your comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for?
Hello. Today, get with it.
Let's get it.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you can be notified every time we post a video. Until next time.
Peace. Bye. Remember, guys, every Monday, 6 p.m., videos go live. This week, you might get 2. Good job, ladies.
Yes.